DC's big fan and creator event, Fandom, is just around the corner, and it brings with it a huge sale on Comixology. To make sure you get the best out of your buck, these comics with your mate Failbait are going to look at 3 of my favorite DC comics from the last year. For me, it's the zombie apocalypse event DCeased by Tom Taylor and a fantastic art team, including Trevor Herson and Rainier Barreto. Following that is the historical action epic Hawkman by Robert Venditti and Brian Hitch. And finally, my absolute favorite among them, the fantasy and horror-inspired Aquaman by Kelly Sue DeConnick and Robson Roca. They're all somewhere around 50% off, and the entire series for each of them is on sale. I'll review just the first volume or so, but would highly recommend making the most of these sales to buy as many as you can. Starting with DCeased. So it's become a bit of a trend lately of Tom Taylor, a fellow Australian, writing in DC's multiverse. He did great work on the Injustice series, so if you were a fan of that, you were going to enjoy this too. This time around, he and his creative team are bringing us an apocalyptic-scale zombie invasion. The stakes are high because, as it is a separate universe, anything could happen. It also lets Taylor write in some fan-favorite characters like the Atom that don't get regularly to feature in mainstream comics, as well as Captain Atom, and gives them a moment to shine, even just briefly. At the center of it all, though, is the Justice League, but most of all, it feels like a Superman story. I think this is because he works so well as a moral center to all the death and consumption from the zombies, and Taylor writes that sense of hope and family as well in the face of this apocalypse really well. And the art by Trevor Herson is suitably graphic and gory. If you're not into zombie gore, then probably steer clear of this one. The color Rainier Barreto remains throughout to give the series a consistent finish. As expected, this isn't a super bright and vibrant coloring project. Instead, it uses light and shade really well to show the darker side of this zombie universe. It's only 5 issues or so with some extra content, and the 50% discount makes it an easy choice to buy. Following is the Hawkman saga. This was such a fun read because it's accessible to both new readers but entertaining for returning ones, and it showcases all the best parts of a character that has been around for over 50 years. It has a real sort of action-adventure vibe, a globe-trotting story, as the main character Hawkman tries to uncover the mystery surrounding his history. Where it really shines is how it's characterized. You can see there's a lot of internal monologue, a lot of narration boxes to show that he's not just Thor with wings or the Punisher with a mace. He's got a lot of depth that revolves around his own uncertainties, and his action comes from not just wanting violence, but also wanting to learn more about himself. When we do get to the action, it is bombastic and entertaining. Due to the nature of Hawkman's globe-trotting adventure and historical connections, we see a wide range of locations and historical times. Brian Hitch is the primary artist on this series and manages to bring everything to life with widescreen panel layouts and strong, clear lines. The figures are heroic and strong in stature and posture, giving what feels like iconic images on every page, including this one of Hawkman fighting a dinosaur with his bare hands. I mean, that alone is worth the price of admission, and the price is somewhere around 47% off, but I mean, that's basically half price, right? It has 2 volumes on sale, and while I focus mainly on the first, the second one is just as good, if not better. Continuing with our beefcakey, shirtless protagonists, here's my favorite one of them all, Aquaman, written by one of my favorite writers, too. This is a story that Kelly Sue DeConnick, I recall from an interview, spoke about reinterpreting the mythology of the ocean, both real life and within DC Comics, and how that impacts Aquaman. As a lover of mythology and world building, this decision from the creative team really helps bring an interesting perspective with what feels like new characters, even though they might just be myths or gods from other real-life cultures. It works to fit a very suspenseful, almost horror story with an amnesiac Aquaman washing ashore of some strange new island, and they all sort of worship this strange ocean. And while, amnesia isn't all that new to comic books, interpreting and revisiting these mythologies and cultural connections make a familiar trope feel new and inspired, especially when it's drawn by Robson Roca, joined by Daniel Enrique and Sonny Cho. They all work together so well to design and interpret these different sea monsters, ranging from terrifying and horrific to fantasy-style myth monsters. They're all different and unique, and helps bring these different aspects of the ocean to life. There's new characters, new enemies, and new mythologies all brought into this awesome world-building story written by Kelly Sue DeConnick. But what really helps sell the narrative, I think, is the romance between Arthur and Mira. It feels like a genuine romance. There's emotions that run deeper than the Marianas Trench, with peaks of action that rise over the highest waves. Basically, the entire series is all on sale for almost 50% off. And if there is just one series you buy from this sale, I would recommend this one. So those are the 3 comics I would recommend from this big Comixology event that is going on until the 24th of August, just in time for DC's fandom. If you're watching this by the time the sale is over, I would still recommend them. They're fantastic comics and probably some of the best DC comics of 2019 and 2020. Thank you for watching. This has been Comics with your mate Failbait. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, I would really appreciate you to like, comment, and subscribe, or you can find me on Twitter in the information below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the fandom.